Hey everyone, Paul Wilson here. Hopefully you can all hear me and we're good to go. We should be live right now. Um, Today we're going to talk a little bit about what are we going to talk about? Oh yeah, the tools that I use. This should be uh, kind of a trip down memory lane for me. So I'm going to be sharing some stuff with you and talking a little bit about kind of my career too, because the tools I use are directly connected to what it is that I do as well. So like my process as an e-learning designer developer, but also my process as a creative content person. I don't know what the word is. Is that a good word? I guess that kind of works. So obviously, let's get the first thing out of the way here and emphasize the fact that a large part of my business has been centered around Adobe Captivate. So my history with Adobe Captivate goes back to about 2005, if I'm not mistaken. And one day, my learning and development manager came over to me and said, Paul, have you heard about Adobe Captivate 2.0? And I had not. Up to that point, we had done either instructor-led training in our organization, or we were also doing virtual classroom using a tool called, what is it now? Centra. And Centra was a combination virtual classroom, sort of an LMS as well. But you would log in. We had points of presence all across the country. And we would schedule these live virtual classrooms. We would record them as well, and then publish the recording for those who couldn't attend live. And we would usually schedule, 4, 5, 6 of these, and then publish what we thought was the best one. And it worked really well. It was it was definitely a good product. There was some problems with it though. One of the problems was that the quiz was all on one slide or one page, if you will. And so invariably what we discovered is that the first person who took the course, the virtual class, would then just simply do a screen capture and share that with all their colleagues. And of course, everyone would get 100% after that first guinea pig. So that was kind of a problem. And actually, one of the reasons that we went with Adobe Captivate was there was one question per slide, and that was all that you needed to do. We could also, I don't think we took advantage of random questions. I'm not sure if they existed, but certainly the shuffle answers feature made it a little bit better, because if John would take the course at 9 o'clock in the morning, he would see the correct answer to question 1 could be answer C. And then Mary would take it an hour later, and answer C was now one of the distractors. It would move the right answer into a different spot. And again, I'm not sure if my memory is not so good about those early days of Captivate, but I don't think we had random questions. We just had the ability to shuffle the answers. And so anyway, we started using Adobe Captivate for all of our training. We did switch to a new learning management system. We switched to SumTotal, and at the behest of the SumTotal people, we had to go with Toolbook, which was their product for authoring. And it's a fine program, or it was a fine program. I can't speak to what its condition is today. And I got really into the fact that they had their own scripting language or scripting tool to get the e-learning to do things that it wasn't necessarily designed to do out of the box, which I think kind of led to my motivation to become sort of an advanced action guy, that I've become with Adobe Captivate. But my memory is that somewhere in that journey, of course, Storyline came out, or a very early version of Storyline. And I know a couple of my colleagues were talking about it. I never embraced it. I was strictly the toolbook guy. And eventually I left that organization and went out on my own. And after a stint at, what did I do after that? There was a change in certain things. I was there a long time, but there was a change in the organization, and they reduced our headcount by about 50%. And unfortunately, I was one of the more senior instructional designers, and because of that, I was one of the higher paid ones as well. So when you're looking at the the spreadsheet as to what your costs and expenses are, obviously the most expensive instructional designer ended up on the chopping block. We could hire 2 people for what we're paying this guy for. So I was out of that position. And it was around that time, because I was an accidental instructional designer, someone who fell into this quite by accident, that I decided that I need some certifications. So I decided to go and get my teaching and training adult certificate at the local college. They had a program that was designed to teach again, people like me, people who are subject matter experts, whether you were, an expert in auto mechanics, or you were an expert in winemaking, or whatever it might be, you could then take this teaching and training adults course, which was like a 6-week program, and it would confirm that you had the knowledge and skill to teach adults. And it was actually a very good program. There were some issues with the fact that they were teaching learning styles and a few other things that are now considered to be, kind of apocryphal. But other than that, it gave me a good solid foundation. I had most of it anyway. I just needed the piece of paper that confirmed that I knew what I was talking about when I went for those job interviews. And while I was at the college, I looked at I thought, well, maybe there's some educational discounts I could take advantage of. And I really had no plan to start my own business at that point. But I looked online and I realized that the $1,500 Adobe eLearning suite, and oh my God, do I miss the eLearning suite? I can't tell you. But I realized that $1,500 package was available for around $500 if I, used my educational discount as a student. Even though I was only really a part-time student, I was still a student. So I took advantage of it, and I got the Adobe eLearning Suite 2.0, which was the current version at the time, and it included Adobe Captivate 5. And what was great about it is that it also came with Adobe Flash, Adobe Dreamweaver, Adobe Photoshop, which was fantastic, and a few other smaller programs, as well as Acrobat. You got Acrobat included in that. And that got me onto the path of the upgrade path, so that when Adobe eLearning Suite 2.5 came out, I could pay $300 and get all the latest versions of these softwares. So I did that. And it was around that point where I realized, that obviously I was going to maintain, a close relationship with Adobe products. And of course, I started buying Adobe Captivate on a regular basis. I didn't necessarily buy the eLearning Suite. There was a version 6 that came out after 2.5, which is kind of weird. They were aligning the version numbers with the Creative Suite numbers. So they jumped straight to 6 because they were at CS6, I think is the right way to say that. But I didn't bother with that. But I did take advantage of the fact that, that I could upgrade from my copy of Adobe Captivate 5.5 to version 6, and then subsequently version 7, and so on. I got a position at the Greater Toronto Airports Authority as an instructional designer, e-learning specialist. Originally, it was not for e-learning, but they saw that I showed for work with my own laptop, even though they provided me one. I was a contract employee, and they would see that I was building e-learning just for fun, which is crazy, I know. But when the time came that the 6-month contract ended, the contract completed, and then eventually it was renewed, and the original group of 5 or 6 of us became 4 or 5 of us, and then 3 and 4 of us, and eventually I was the only one left, and they started getting me doing e-learning for them. And in the few years that I was there, I produced about a couple of dozen courses, if I want to remember correctly, e-learning courses on a variety of different topics. Eventually, my contract finally concluded after about 5 years there. And I decided at that point, because I had gone through the experience of being downsized twice, right? They figured, okay, we got enough e-learning now, we can let Paul go. I didn't want to work for anybody else anymore. I always wanted to be my own boss anyway. So I started my own organization, and it was at that point I realized I need some tools to do my job. When you're first starting out, when you're first just at the very beginning stages of building your own company, you can't necessarily afford, the most expensive software that's out there. I just want to acknowledge those that are in the chat right now. I see Philip is there. Hi, Philip. And Marie is there as well. Hi, Marie. Thanks for joining today. If you are just joining now, I'm just sort of giving you a little bit of my personal history and how it led to some of the tools that I use today and some of the tools that have evolved for me. But we're right at the part of my story where, I was starting out on my own. I was in a good financial place because, of course, I knew that my contract at the airport was ending about 3 months in advance. I knew that, they were not going to renew it as they had done a number of times. So I had time to prepare. And I started to do things like I purchased a brand new laptop, and I got the latest version of Adobe Captivate. I didn't have that at the time, but because I had the prior version, I was eligible for the upgrade. And this is back in the days when perpetual licenses were a little bit more normal. Today, I would encourage people to go to the subscription model, which I think is better for a lot of different reasons. But I also needed other things as well. So, I took advantage of, now in this case, my wife worked for a company, another telecom in this country. And there's a deal you can get. It's evolved and changed over the years. But if you need Microsoft Office, which if you're going to be in business, you pretty much are going to need it. I know nowadays people say that you can get away with Google Docs, and I've done that. But at the time, Microsoft Office was still the standard. If you wanted, an email scheduling tool, if you wanted a word processor, in training, you're going to be producing PowerPoints. So you got to have PowerPoint. And if you want to keep track of your finances and stuff like that, you can create your own Excel spreadsheets. And at the time, I think this would have been around 2013, because that was the version number of Office that I was able to get through this HUP program, HUP, that's not it. Home Use Program is what it is. And if I just share my desktop for a moment here. Let's see what's become of the Microsoft Home Use Program. I know at the time you could literally get Office for like $10. But, obviously if you enter in so it's a little bit different today. If you enter in your work email address here and click on Get Started, what you can do is get a 30% discount on Microsoft 365 subscriptions. It was a better deal back in 2013, but certainly if you're trying to save a few bucks and you or your spouse work for a company that uses Microsoft Office, which is pretty much everyone in the world, you can enter in your email address and see if your organization participates in the home use program. The link for that, let me copy and paste that into the chat here. Now I need to open up a new window in another screen here, so just bear with me a moment there. And again, so we took advantage of it a number of times when Microsoft Office 2013 was the latest version. We took advantage of that then. And when 2016 came out, we took advantage of it there as well. So that proved to be a big saver of my pocketbook because I didn't have to buy the full suite. And back in those days, the full Microsoft Office suite wasn't $100 a year. It was like $300 for a perpetual license, which is wonderful and everything. But, obviously that's still a lot of money coming out of my bank account at any given moment here. So let me just go into my live stream here. Just bear with me a moment here. And we'll follow so here we go. Let's just go to the chat window here and I will paste that in there so that you guys have the link. So, but then obviously the other alternative to that is to consider nowadays Google Docs, which of course can be free. Right? So if we just do a little search here for Google Docs, we can see that you can use your Gmail account and sign into web-only versions of a word processor. What else is here? It's a spreadsheet, and there's other things as well. I guess I technically still have it if I just simply go to Google. And if you click on this little 9-dot menu item here, you can, of course, go in and access Docs. And, of course, from there, there's also Sheets, Slides, Forms. And I've used Forms a little bit as well. Forms are a little bit different than something you'd expect to find in the Office world, like in the Microsoft Office world. Forms I've actually used to write up evaluations, level 1 evaluations or smile sheets for my e-learning course, if you will. And so that's proven to be quite advantageous. And the link for that is pretty straightforward. You just go to docs.google.com. And again, I can paste that in there as well. So now, presently, and this just to go to Marie's point here, she has a Microsoft 365 subscription. I held off on that for a while, and I actually went with, let's just go here, G Suite. Let me just do a quick search for that. So I signed up for G Suite because obviously when I got started with my business, I did get a website. You got to have a website if you're going to start your own business. And I signed up for Squarespace. And, if I log into, and many of you have probably seen my CaptivateTeacher.com website, but when you have Squarespace, you can go in and do, create your articles and your posts, and you can do marketing and scheduling, look at analytics and communicate with your potential audience. So there's a lot of cool stuff that you can do. And excuse me, the thing about Squarespace is that if I wanted to have a CaptivateTeacher.com email address, which is something I desired when I started my business, I was Paul Wilson eLearning.com. I've since changed that. But, I was just using, Paul Wilson Learning at Outlook.com or something like that, which really didn't, convey a sense of professionalism. So to sign up for that, and I think it's in the settings here. Yeah, there's an integration, as you can see here, with G Suite for email. So you can sign up for your custom domain for $72 or whatever annually, or pay monthly if you wish. And this way I could be Paul at CaptivateTeacher.com. So that a little bit more professional email, and that was the choice that I made. But it came with, of course, all the only integration for that email was a Gmail account. So, which I did for a while, and I found that my G Suite email address, if you will, was cumbersome to use. I'm still a Microsoft Outlook person at this point. So I made the decision to sign up for an enterprise account, or I guess what would be Office 365 Business, because I am an Outlook person. I've been using Outlook since like Outlook 97. And it's really hard for me to change. And that's, I'm one of those guys, right? So if you go into Microsoft 365 Business, I realized that I could migrate that email address that I had, Paul at CaptivateTeacher.com, to, I think this is the plan I'm on here, for $16 a month. And that provided me all of the web and the applications, like the desktop applications of all the Office apps. So that was the choice I made here. And then I canceled, obviously, my G Suite account. A scary moment in time when you transition from something that's so crucial to your business over to something that, and I'll just switch back to webcam for a moment here, to switch from something that is like the hub of your business, right? Your communication hub, if you will, from one platform to another. And if, my email address was unavailable for a day, a week, a month, whatever it would be, that would have been disastrous. But fortunately, after about 24 hours of stressful tweaking of settings and things like that, I was able to move everything over and get the Office 365 up and running. And that's what I'm presently using today. I'm going to shift gears a little bit now and talk a little bit about promoting my business. And while we may not all be freelance instructional designers like myself, some of you are, of course. And I would encourage that even if you're not presently a freelance and e-learning instructional designer, in this world that we live in today, where everything is so unpredictable, I would seriously consider looking at ways to promote yourself, to put a portfolio online so that you have these the capability to share your experience. And if you keep it up, when that day comes, when things kind of go, sideways unexpectedly, you've got a portfolio ready to go. You can start promoting your business and get out there. I chose to I chose to continue doing YouTube videos. When I worked at the airport, one of the e-learning courses that I developed was for some software that the company was using. And I took advantage of the software simulation feature and the video demo feature inside Adobe Captivate. And to practice before the actual course that I was developing, I created a few of these little tutorials. And I picked a topic that I knew well, and that was Adobe Captivate. So I'd have 2 instances of Adobe Captivate running. And if you're wondering how to do that, let me share my screen again here. And I'm just going to drag my taskbar in here and go back to desktop here. So if I open one instance of Adobe Captivate, and this still works with the current version, give this a second to load here. It should start up. It started up on the other monitor, but that's okay. I'll drag it over in a second once I'm past the initial screen here. So there we go. I've got one instance of Adobe Captivate running. I'll just resize it so that we can see everything here. There we go. Now here's the trick. If you'd like to get a separate instance and use Video Demo to record this screen or your whole screen, just right-click on the Captivate icon in your taskbar and right-click on the entry that just simply says Adobe Captivate 2019 64-bit and open. And this should open. It may show up on my other screen. Yeah, it's doing that. And what you'll see is, I'll bring it over in a second, you'll see 2 instances of Adobe Captivate here. So let me just, now I'm just choosing a blank project for illustrative purposes here, but the idea being is that once I have this, I've got 2 copies of Captivate running here, and I can use one of these to record procedures on this screen here. So if you go and look at my YouTube channel and go back to the very earliest versions of my YouTube videos, the very first ones that I did all those years ago, they are done with Video Demo. It's me recording my other screen or my other monitor, which is running another instance of Adobe Captivate. So there's sort of the first little tool I use when it comes to making my tutorials. But the point of this is really to talk more about YouTube itself. So I started uploading these tutorials because, hey, why not? I wasn't even thinking that I would end up having a channel that was dedicated to Adobe Captivate tutorials. I just thought that I would, upload some tutorials and, hey, maybe someone might watch them, maybe they won't. And then like 3 videos, which I uploaded, became 5 videos, which became 10 videos. And then when I decided to start my own business, my decision was, well, I can use YouTube as a way of doing several things, promoting my e-learning design development business, but more importantly, demonstrating to potential hiring managers that, hey, this guy, Paul Wilson, knows something about Adobe Captivate. I know more today than I did back then, but even then I was still considered a bit of an expert in the tool. So I did that. It had a fortunate side effect as well, because it garnered me a lot of attention from potential e-learning companies who wanted to hire me, or just regular companies that needed some e-learning. Instead of being restricted to my local region, I was getting requests from people all over the world. So it had that consequence, which was a very positive one. The other one I missed. I almost missed this one entirely. People started to comment on my videos with questions about how to do things in Adobe Captivate. People like yourselves. And I only saw that at first as a hindrance, an annoyance, I'm sorry to say. These people were bothering me for, these are my competitors. Why would I want to help them learn about Adobe Captivate? And then it occurred to me one day that, you know what, maybe the smart thing to do is to say yes and turn this into a business opportunity. And that's when I decided to not only offer my services as an e-learning designer developer, but also as a Captivate teacher. And, I did that for a while, and suddenly I realized, what? I love doing this. It's what I really would prefer to do. So I'm really putting all my eggs in that basket pretty much at this time. I haven't completely abandoned the idea of designing and developing training for organizations, because I can't quite afford to do that yet. But I certainly do. The vast majority of my work this year in particular has been teaching other people how to use Adobe Captivate. And it's been very successful. I've seen almost no design or development work this year. I can't say it's completely been gone, but the vast majority of the work that I've been doing this year is teaching people. So the YouTube channel has become even more important. And along with uploading my tutorials to YouTube, and there's a whole process there that I don't have time to get into today, but you need to design a banner, at the top of your YouTube page. You need to design thumbnails for your videos. You need to write really good descriptions for your videos and create titles for your videos that are very similar to the types of words that someone would search for. So becoming an expert in search engine optimization, and I'm far from an expert, but I've learned a few things about it. And then I'm using other tools as well. One of the tools that I've used is a tool called Buffer. And this is a tool that allows me to, and I'll just share my screen again here. This allows me to write, yes, I know. This allows me to write my tweets in advance. So, every day I'm busy helping people learn Adobe Captivate. I can't always be promoting my videos. Now, this is an example actually of a tool that allows you to do certain things for free, but also do things, if you wanted to upgrade to a paid version. I've actually switched to another tool called later.com, and I'll show you that in a moment. But the advantage of Buffer is that you can start off with, a free account and be able to post things in advance. You'll be limited. I've since canceled the Pro plan. So if we want to take a look at billing for Buffer, we can see here, yeah, it's telling me, let's just go here for a second. I hope I'm not reactivating in one click here. I just wanted to see, yeah, so they have a free plan. They have a $15 plan. They've got a $99 plan, and there's lots that you can do. You can see I've been charged the $15 for quite a few months now. And the benefit is that I can write a tweet, and then I can set it up to go out to Twitter, but also to go out to LinkedIn and to Facebook. And it saves me having to write a separate post for each one of these sites. And it also allows me to pick times when I know that people might see my tweets. I don't know if I do that very, very good. The other tool that I'm kind of liking right now is this tool called Later, which is later.com, which allows you to schedule your posts later. I currently signed up for an account with them, and I'm kind of trying it out, but I kind of know that it is something that I'm going to probably use moving forward. In this case here, I can upload my media, and I can schedule Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and it doesn't do LinkedIn right now. But we'll see, and maybe I won't keep both. Maybe I'll, one of the advantages of Squarespace is that when I'm scheduling stuff, I can do some of this there as well. So promoting yourself, working on your brand can be done from Squarespace as well. So when I do a new post, and I do create a new post for each video that comes out, but I do other things on my CaptivateTeacher.com site here. So if I go to the articles section, and I'll just pick, let's say, the article that's going to be coming out in a couple of days here on toggling audio playback. As YouTube members of my channel, you already have access to this video, but again, I've just set this up, as a post that will appear on my site. Now, if I go into the edit and go to the share section, you can see that I'm going to be posting it automatically to Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. So there's another way you can deal with, doing stuff like this. Another tool that I've experimented with, but I didn't go that route, was Hootsuite, which is another popular tool for sharing your social media posts. And I might look into that as well. I'm sort of at a point where I'm not super happy with Buffer, so I'm just going to go back to publish here. It's been a good tool. I can't complain about it, but there's a few things that I would like it to do that it doesn't do. And, eventually I might come back to it. I'm not sure. I'm just checking the chat here. Marie's commenting, wow, I didn't realize you could run in 2 instances. About the only reason you would do this is that if you were, simply... like in my case, they're doing a simulation of Adobe Captivate. That would be a reason for it. It's one of those things that I discovered quite by accident. But yeah, I don't think you can do it on the Mac. Someone once told me that they were unable to do something similar on the Mac, but certainly on the PC, it's possible. And unfortunately, because I'm predominantly a PC person, most of my tips and tricks about using Adobe Captivate are going to be PC-centric. So that's something to bear in mind here. Let's see, where are we at here? Let me just go back to my list here that I've got going on here. So another thing that I did a lot of was, there's, and actually I'll just share this page with you guys. This is... someone that I know, and I'll just share. Sorry, almost exited the video there. Pressed the wrong button. Here is a website called Zeef, ZEEF.com, and this is Tracy Parrish's site here. Tracy is a fellow Canadian. She falls more firmly in the articulate storyline camp. But for years now, Tracy has been collecting free and relatively inexpensive e-learning tools. And she has this page here. Let me copy and paste this into our live stream chat here, so you guys have this link as well. Like I said, she does spend a lot of time in the articulate camp, but there's a lot of stuff here, and I've used it as well. Like, it's not completely limited to just the articulate folks. There's things like if you wanted to get into 3D modeling, for example, she's found a bunch of stuff. So she's saving you a lot of Google searches by collecting these here. Design and development skills, the Adobe eLearning community, really big part of my social media choice is the Adobe eLearning community. A little side story here. Let me go back to webcam for a moment. So I was putting out these videos to continue my story from before. I was putting out these videos on YouTube on how to do this and how to do that and how to turn a smart shape into a button and how to, work with, text-to-speech, NeoSpeech, and Adobe Captivate. And some of these videos were becoming more and more popular. And I had communicated with Anita Horsley, who ran a smaller Adobe Captivate user group. And I think I did a presentation for her group at one point. But I more importantly asked her, listen, I know you speak at these Adobe conferences, the Adobe Learning Summit in Las Vegas, and I hear that they're going to be doing an Adobe eLearning conference. They hadn't run one yet, but in Washington, D.C. Could you put me in touch with the person at Adobe who organizes these events? I'd like to throw my name in the hat and see what comes of it. And so she did. She introduced me, in this case, it used to be someone else. She introduced me to that person through email and said, yes, Paul's an avid e-learning community. Well, there wasn't an e-learning community yet. But an avid user group participant, and he's made some YouTube videos, and he really knows Adobe Captivate very well. And he says, okay, well, if you could send me a little bio of what you've done, we'll consider it. But there wasn't a lot of enthusiasm. So I sent him, well, here's the link to my YouTube channel, and I talked about, sent him basically a snapshot of what my resume would look like at the time in email. And then they came back and they said, oh, you're that Paul Wilson. So a little bit of validation there. He didn't realize that I was this guy who had put out, at the time, about 250 YouTube videos. So they invited me to speak at the first ever Adobe eLearning conference in Washington, D.C., and it was at that conference where they announced the Adobe eLearning community. And I thought, oh, perfect. Exactly what I need to promote my videos. So let me show you this here. And it didn't look like this back then, but obviously one of the things that I have taken great advantage of is creating posts. And while I want to focus on the free tools that someone like Tracy has done, I want to emphasize something here. And many of you, I hope most of you know this, but in case you don't, I'm going to click on my profile here and I'm going to show you something. And I think this is really important. You'll see here that as a contributor to the Adobe eLearning community, I don't quite understand why my lifetime points are lower than my current points, but whatever. I've contributed over 50,000 points, or I've earned 50,000 points. And I'm a legend, right? That's the highest level that you can get within the Adobe eLearning community. So let's click on this levels and incentive thing here. And you might be thinking to yourself, well, so what? Who cares? What are points? What can I do? Who cares if I'm a newbie or an explorer? But here's the thing. Once you get to 150 points, and that's a guide in their books, that's their gamification, you get 3 months of complimentary license usage of Adobe Captivate. And again, you might be thinking, well, big deal. I can always just download the trial and do that. But this is a perpetual license in a way, in that it's, well, not a perpetual license. It's 3 months of license. But while you're using that 3 months, unlike the trial, anything you publish will live on in perpetuity. So you don't need to worry about licensing a copy of Adobe Captivate. So going back a little bit to, I think Marie was saying something about building her portfolio. You obviously can't use your company projects, so you're going to need to build your own projects for a portfolio in many cases. Sometimes you work for an organization like I did. The airport was very gracious about, well, not gracious. They published my e-learning courses on the actual internet, so I can show people those anytime I want. But here's the cool thing. is that anything I publish with this complimentary license of Adobe Captivate can live on forever. So once you're finished with the trial, download the trial, start using that for 30 days on your own to build your portfolio. And during that process, accumulate points on the elearning.adobe.com site. And I'll talk about what you can do to get 150 points. So once your trial is done, hopefully your 3 months of complimentary license usage becomes available to you, and you can start using and publishing your courses so that the courses can live in perpetuity. And you can see here 500 points will get you Captivate Prime as well if you wanted to experiment with that. 1,000 points, more importantly, will get you 12 months of complimentary license usage, 3 months of Captivate Prime, and an invite to one of these Adobe eLearning events that I mentioned, possibly the invitation to speak as well, which I've done several times. And then, of course, at 5,000 points, and clearly I don't have to worry about that for quite some years to come. Again, 12 months of Captivate Prime, 12 months of Captivate, and other benefits related to the conferences. So how do you get these points? What can you do with these points? Well, you can like an article for 1 point. You can comment on an article for 2 points. You can post a helpful response, and I think that's determined when someone else likes your response, and you can post a correct answer. You'll get 10 points. And I'm doing this. Like, I do this every day. Post a discussion question, you'll get 10 points. Here's the thing, though. What I suggest is do this. Go on to the elearning.adobe.com website, sign in with your Adobe ID, write a testimonial about Adobe Captivate. You'll have 50 points. While you're doing your 30-day trial, or even later today, post a blog post about something cool in Adobe Captivate, or a project that you worked on, or something you learned. Just any blog post. Just write an article about the levels of evaluation if you wish, or it doesn't even have to be specific to Adobe Captivate. It just has to earn you 100 points. So one testimonial and one blog post is going to get you 150 points, and therefore 3 months of license for Adobe Captivate. Then you can continue to write those blog posts. And how many do you need in a 3-month period? Write a blog post a month just to maintain your free copy of Adobe Captivate. Write one every 2 weeks just to make sure that you're, cemented in that role. And eventually you can get 12 months of complimentary license usage like myself. So this is how I've paid for Adobe Captivate since version 7 or 8. I think it was around 8 that it came out. I have not paid unless I wanted to. I did buy Captivate 9 because I really thought it was a good version at the time. I kind of regret that decision, but I did purchase Captivate 9 because I knew that Captivate 10 might be a radical departure, and I wanted to make sure I could still use Captivate 9. So I do have a license for Captivate 9. But for Captivate 2017, I did not buy a license for that. For most of the time I was using Captivate 9, I was using it for free. And of course, Captivate 2019, I haven't purchased. Adobe did not receive a single dollar from me. So, you want a free tool? How about free Adobe Captivate? So that's where I'm going with this. Let's take a look back at Tracy's page here. A lot of these would be the same because many of these I use as well. When you're working with clients, of course, you need to share files with them. Dropbox and Google Drive are both two of my favorites as well as Tracy's favorites. She uses Dropbox. I actually pay for an improved or greater capacity in Dropbox, but even when I'm not maintaining that, I revert back to the free version because, it's real easy to just toss something in there and share it with others. In fact, Google Drive is how I share the free downloads with the $5 members of my YouTube channel. So if you'll notice that when you click on a link to download one of my files, it's actually coming from Google Drive. Some other tools that I've used over the years, again, Prezi is something that stands out to me because, of course, I've created some Prezi presentations. They're really kind of cool. I experimented with those. Let's see here. Actually, in fonts, let me share this one with you here. This is Font Awesome. And what's cool about Font Awesome is that you can install Font Awesome on your computer and even use a web version. Now, with the web version, I can include all of these different fonts that are available and put them in my e-learning course. And when a font is generated in your e-learning course, especially responsive design, it's going to be vector graphics. So it's going to look fantastic. It's going to be an SVG essentially. But by installing this and using these for things like your navigation controls, it's really kind of cool. I have a tutorial on my YouTube channel. If you do a search on YouTube for Font Awesome and Adobe Captivate, you'll find that tutorial because I think I'm the only one who's ever done that before. So really, really kind of a cool tip here. I use that quite a bit. I also use Google Fonts. I don't see it on Tracy's list here, but Google Fonts is great because it's completely free. So if there's a font that you don't have on your computer and would like to use in your e-learning course, Google Fonts allows you to not only download it, but you can actually put in some code in your e-learning course so that all your users will see that font as well. And that even works with responsive design. What else do we have here? She actually had Font Awesome here under icons. So yeah, that is, again, one of my favorites. One of the things that I've done as well, let's just take a jump back over to the elearning.adobe.com. And here's the thing that I've done as well. Now, this is more involved than the solution that I've talked about here with elearning.adobe.com. But one of the things is that they're separate from the popular discussions that you see here, which I participate in all the time. Go to the forum discussions down here at the bottom. And using your same Adobe account, you can talk on the user forum that's for the greater Adobe community, but specific to Captivate. And if you participate on a regular basis, if I just sign in here, and I'll just show you what happens when you participate as a user here, you can eventually become, I don't know if there's something to indicate here. Yeah, you'll see that, on my posts here, there's this Adobe Community Professional. Now, there are some prerequisites for this, and it's probably a little more difficult to become an Adobe Community Professional. But one of the benefits is free Creative Cloud. So if you can get nominated by one of the people at Adobe for being an Adobe Community Professional, and it means you're answering lots of people's questions, you're participating in the conversations that occur here, eventually you might become an Adobe Community Professional. And one of the benefits, of course, is free Creative Cloud. For the purposes of promoting it, so you'd have to be obviously very participative in the Adobe support community. But, free Creative Cloud is very beneficial. It's a savings of $50 a month or more, I think, at this point. And, of course, that gives me Photoshop, that gives me Dreamweaver, that gives me Premiere Pro, that gives me all the Creative Cloud apps that are included with that. So I really pretty much have everything I could possibly want from Adobe software without having to pay anything for it. So I'm very happy about that. And that's certainly something that, I can definitely share with you guys. Yeah, Marie, I'm just looking at the chat here again. Philip's saying free forever, free Adobe forever. Marie's saying I want 150 points. And of course, just writing blog posts and doing a few things. It's really worth it. Yes, but Adobe does get a great ambassador in you. Yes, they do. I would agree with you there, Marie. There's no argument from me there. Google Fonts is great. Check out my my video about that as well. There's a way that you can edit your index.html to include the code that you can get from Google Fonts, so that the Google Fonts you're using in your project can show up, even, like I said, with responsive design there as well. So some really good stuff there. Let's see what else Tracy's got here, because I know it's a great resource here. I don't want to downplay play that. Yeah, Marie's saying that her university pays for her Creative Cloud for as well. And, hey, why not, reach out to your organization that you work for and see if they're willing to cover those expenses for you. So as far as alternatives, because, of course, when I got started, I wasn't always, I'll leave Tracy's page for now. I didn't always have access to these great tools. So looking for cheap alternatives or inexpensive alternatives is a great way to go as well. So like one of the things that I've used quite a bit in the time, I'm not an expert in it by any means, but when I need Photoshop and I don't have it for whatever reason, GIMP is another choice that's available, and you can contribute to their development if you wish by donating money, but you can literally use GIMP or the GNU Image Manipulation Program 2.0 or 2.10 at this point for free as well. So that's helpful. Another tool that sort of relates to the Creative Cloud is, of course, in Creative Cloud, I use Audition quite a bit to edit my audio narration files. Another great tool is Audacity, which is available also for free. And it's a really good, it's not quite Adobe Audition level, but it's a really good application. And I've used that for years for editing my audio files. And it even allows you to get into like multi-track recording quite a bit. So you can do some really cool stuff, mix in a little background music with your narration, and it's an excellent tool as well there. So those are sort of the main ones that I wanted to cover here. Another Creative Cloud, it's not really part of the Creative Cloud, but stock.adobe.com, obviously a great solution if you're looking for stock photography. Quite often I will look for abstract background images. Again, as part of my Adobe Community Professional, they give me 500 assets a year. So I can use these so long as they're contributing to the promotion of the Adobe community here. So you can find some really great stuff here to use. If you're not in a position to take advantage of this, it's kind of expensive when you actually look at how many free assets you get per month if you sign up for, I think it's a $30 plan. Can't recall. But you do pay a monthly fee, and then you get only 10 assets, which I could use up in the first 10 pages of an e-learning course, maybe less. Another site that I use for images, and I've subscribed to them. I used to use, I think there was a free version or a very inexpensive version at one point, but I use story blocks. And the nice thing about story blocks is that in this case, the monthly fee or the yearly fee covers unlimited usage. I currently subscribe to the one that includes video and audio, so I can access all that. But let's say, you know, I needed an image or maybe a video of an airplane flying overhead or in the sky. Just flying will probably do. So they're excellent here. Now I can choose photos, vectors, illustrations. I can go over to the video tab and type in airplane. And, you know, I'm looking for, really, I want to give my course some punch. So you can have literally an airplane flying overhead on your title screen or something cool like that. That's pretty neat with the clouds below it. So there's a lot of cool stuff that you can get here. And this is actually very affordable when you compare it with more expensive sources like stock photography sites like Adobe. In this case here, the subscriptions, I don't know if it has, yeah, so I'm paying about $360 a year, but I have unlimited access to video, audio, and images, and it's billed annually. So, of course, this is a good time of year to watch for deals on a lot of this stuff as well. Another example of an Adobe product is Adobe Media Encoder, and I've got a video coming out in a few weeks, and I've had videos about how you can convert one video format over to another. I think early or late December, early January, I've got a video about converting audio files into a format that Adobe Captivate will read. But I also have had several videos, even very recently, about converting videos from one format to another, because .mov, for example, you can't load that into Captivate, so you need to convert it first. Fortunately for most of us, Adobe includes Adobe Media Encoder for free with Adobe Captivate. You may not realize that you have it, and if you don't have it, go bug your IT department. It should have came with Adobe Captivate. But it's part of the Creative Cloud as well. There are alternatives, some of them web-based, and one of the ones that I've enjoyed over the years is Zamzar. Zamzar is a file conversion tool. There are some free opportunities, because I know I've used this for free in the past, but you can sign up if you don't currently pay for Creative Cloud or you don't have access to Media Encoder for some reason. You know, there's a $9 per month option. There's a $16 per month, and I think I'm somewhere around here. Maximum file sizes are how they sort of control that, but it allows you to convert almost any type of format to any other type of format. And you can see I've used this even as recently. I'm not logged in right now, so let's see here. Why does it say no username? I'll have to fix my password. I've used this recently as well. I had to convert some files. I think I was about to, and that's what prompted the audio conversion video. So I realized, hey, what am I doing? I've got Adobe Media Encoder. I can do this for free. So that's something that's available to you as well. Let's go back. Let's just go back to webcam and just give you guys an opportunity maybe to ask any other questions that you might have on the go here. Let's take a look here. I'll just talk about some of the comments here. Yeah, everyone on Reddit loves GIMP. Basically anything free. I find that the places like Reddit and other things, that they love that tool. I've used GIMP a little bit. They changed the user interface with version 2.1. And when I opened it up to just take a look at it recently, I thought, oh, I don't recognize this at all. I guess I've gotten too used to having Photoshop. Audacity is a great tool. Again, back in the day when I didn't have Creative Cloud, I used it all the time. Philip's saying Invatu elements. I'm not sure I'm familiar with that, Philip. Let me just do a quick search and see what I can learn about that here. Okay, so they're like they provide. Yeah, actually, I recognize the logo now that I see it here. Yeah, they're pretty good as well. I've not signed up for them, but I've certainly come across their page when I'm looking for, for images and things like that. So, whatever works for you, of course. What else here? eLearning Brothers just started putting limits on downloads of premium content. So I pay $1,000 a year and assets are now limited. I may go to Envato. That's a good one, Philip. I would check out the one I suggested, Marie. I think there might even be a link to it. I don't know if it is in the description of my videos. No, it's not. I know that the first price I showed, if you're just looking for images and you go to Storyblocks, and if I sign out, I should be able to see what the pricing is like here, because I know they have a version of just images, just a plan for images. Let's sign up here. Yeah, so you can get video, audio. Yeah, I think they used to have just an images plan, but I think it's been supplanted by the one that's in the unlimited all access. You can go $39.99 a month or go with the annual price there. Let's see here, individual license. So that, yeah, I mean, that's going to give you music, sound effects, HD footage, 4K footage. After Effects templates are included with that as well. And that's storyblocks.com if you're interested in that. I thought I had an affiliate link, but I guess I don't. I think I did at one point, but it was just difficult there. But Storyblocks is great. I've had those, and I've quite happily paid for that subscription for quite a few years now. I recently upgraded it to video as well because I realized I was almost paying that much for the old plan I was on anyway. But I'm happy with it. I'm glad I've got it. So guys, I think that's about it. I just wanted to sort of share with you some of those tools that I use, and yeah, eLearning Brothers is probably using their content as well. I'm not surprised by that, actually. eLearning Brothers is fine. I just find that I really like the cutout characters. I don't like their templates too much because, and again, maybe it's me because I'm the kind of person, I'm going to build my own template to do a lot of these things in Adobe Captivate. I really don't want to rely on someone else's template because when I build it myself, number one, I know how it works. But number two, I'm going to design an interaction, let's say, to function the way I need it to function, to look the way I need it to look as well. And relying on other people's templates, it is something that I just don't do anymore because hopefully you guys will be there too at some point, if not already, where you don't feel that you have to rely on other people's resources and assets because of what you've learned from my tutorials. So anyway, guys, thanks as always. I've already scheduled the next eLearning live stream for members for next week, a week from today, literally. I'm going to do these as regularly as I can. I can't promise every week there will be one, but if I'm not busy doing a lot of teaching or if I'm not busy on creative projects, I'm going to give you guys as much time as you deserve because, of course, you've supported me. At present, I don't have the number in front of me, but I do want to share this with you. I think it's important that you know that you're part of not just a small community anymore. It's really become pretty significant for me. And, I attribute that to you guys mostly for your support, which has been tremendous. So at present, there are 88 members on my YouTube channel, which is fantastic. Even back, if you're one of the ones who was a Patreon subscriber before, the most I think I had was about 50 Patreon subscribers. So 88 YouTube members is outstanding for me. And the reason I want to give you more is because there are so many of you. Obviously, the contributions that I get from you is much more significant than it once was. And I want to make sure you're getting your money's worth. So I'm going to try to do these member-only live streams as often as I can. No more than once a week, but certainly no less than a couple of times a month, because I want to, of course, make you guys successful with your Adobe Captivate use and e-learning design and development. So again, thank you for joining today, and we'll see you next week, where we'll have a whole new topic, which right now, can't remember. Oh yeah, we're going to do 360 VR stuff next week. So I'm going to share with you everything I know about doing 360-degree VR training. And we'll talk a little bit about when it's most effective to use, how it's best used, and what you can do to maybe hack it a little bit. I'll show you some hints and tips and tricks on how to use that and do some interesting stuff. So we'll see you guys next time. If you thought this video was useful, please like and share with your colleagues. If you need help with your next e-learning project, hire me. My focus is to create effective e-learning that achieves your business goals. Visit my website at captivateteacher.com, and don't forget to subscribe to my